guys, Logan here, and I am back to do MCU series of reviews. I'm going to be covering every MCU film that I have not done a review for leading up to Black Panther that came out 2 months ago or more, Avengers Infinity War, and Ant-Man and the Wasp. And for this review, I already got done like phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe from Iron Man to the Avengers, so I'm done with phase 1. I'm now starting phase 2, covering all the installments in phase 2 of the MCU. And to start covering phase 2 of the MCU, I am going to be doing my review for Iron Man 3, starring Robert Downey Jr., Gwyneth Paltrow, Jon Favreau, Ben Kingsley, and this guy who played Killian in this film. I can't remember his name, but he plays like Killian in this film. And this film is not directed by Jon Favreau. It's directed by Shane Black, just to let y'all know who directed this movie. So this movie takes place after the events of Marvel's The Avengers, and we get to see Tony Stark getting through his whole journey, dealing with a series of anxiety attacks and insomnia which caused him to not sleep at all. Because if he had slept, he would have had endless nightmares that would haunt him until he steps up his game and starts doing something, while also have to go on a mission to stop the Mandarin, played by Ben Kingsley. Now, this movie was divided amongst audience when it came out. Some people really liked it, some other people didn't like it, and I thought this movie was fine. I mean, it was a fine movie to watch, I must say. Is it better than the first Iron Man movie? No, it's not. Is it better than Iron Man 2? I would say yeah, but just a tad bit. There were some things this film had added that, at the time when it was released in theaters and I went to saw it, that I didn't really expect. And for example, this is not just a film about Iron Man. This is a film where Tony Stark gets to be much more like Tony Stark. He's not like Iron Man for the most part throughout the movie. And it's basically kind of like, I don't know, maybe Batman Begins, where we get to see Bruce Wayne much more often than we get to see Batman. This film is kind of like that, where we get to see much more of Tony Stark than we get to see Iron Man. So that part was kind of interesting, just back when it was released in theaters, back in 2013. Robert Downey Jr., as usual, was really good as Tony Stark, aka Iron Man. He was just as good in this film as he was in the first Iron Man, and even in the not-so-good Iron Man 2, there's still everything you love about him as Tony Stark and Iron Man. And you also have new things about him that you didn't really expect, but kind of either loved it or hated, depending on how you look at the things that were added in this film that surrounded him. The storytelling for this movie sometimes gets a little bit muddled and very off course from its main direction. For example, we get to see this subplot of this woman played by Rebecca Hall, who turned out to be Tony Stark's ex-girlfriend of some sorts. I thought her character was underutilized in this entire film. Out of all the characters, her character was the most underutilized. And her character could have been done better, or her storyline with Tony Stark could have been better. Now, one thing I want to add about what I thought was somewhat interesting about what Shane Black did with this film, but a lot of people apparently didn't. Even those who read the comics of Iron Man were very disappointed. And that was, like I said earlier, we get to see much more of Tony Stark than we get to see Iron Man, which is kind of similar to Batman Begins. And that part, I thought Shane Black made a bold move to make. It was a bold move on his part, as far as I'm concerned. Some people had a problem with that. I don't. I thought it was just okay, because this film feels a lot more grounded. So let's get into the plot twist for this movie. When this movie was released and that plot twist happened, a lot of people were very divided on that plot twist. Some people liked it, some people hated it. I thought the plot twist was fine. It did came across as humorous at times, especially with Ben Kingsley's character, who didn't turn out, the plot twist was he's not actually the Mandarin. So, I mean, it was funny at times, but at the same time, it just came across as odd and kind of went very off course. Just the plot twist, a lot of people were not big fans of. I could only assume. One thing that I also thought was a very ballsy move for Shane Black to make on his part, in my personal opinion, was not having very much action in this movie. There's not a lot of action in this movie. I mean, you get plenty of action in this film, but not really as much as you get in both Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2. I mean, that's kind of one of my nitpicking complaints with this movie, but that's also one of the positives I have for this film, because, some MCU films do turn out to be action-packed, and this doesn't turn out to be one of them. For the most part, you get to see, a dramatic, a very sad story of Tony Stark getting through not just, a series of anxiety attacks and insomnia, but you also get to see him and facing the enemies that were coming in his way. And like I said several times throughout this review, many people, especially those who read the comic books, are going to be disappointed of watching this movie. And those who wanted to see much more of Iron Man as the Iron Man in both Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2 were also going to be disappointed. And if you are one of those people, you could watch this movie, but if you're looking for a much more Iron Man and much more action-packed Iron Man movie, you're not going to get much of that in this film. Now, is this by all means a really good MCU film? No, I wouldn't really go that far. It's not necessarily a great movie in the MCU, but I'm certainly not going to say that it was a bad movie or a terrible film. It was actually fine. It was an okay movie to watch. So, for that reason alone, and given my reasons, giving my positives and negatives, mixed feelings about the film, I'm going to give Iron Man 3 a Silver Medal of Honor. It's not really a great film by any means, but it was also not a terrible film. So, I would say this film overall was relatively decent, to say the least. So, anyway, guys, that is my review for Iron Man 3. You guys want to guess what my next review in my MCU series is going to be for? Want to guess? I'm sorry, what? Thor: The Dark World? Nah, wrong. It's actually Avengers Infinity War! Yeah! Avengers Infinity War coming out on April 27th. That's going to be the next review in my MCU series. It's coming out on April 27th, baby! Yeah! I just can't wait for that movie to come out. Please, give me that movie right now. I want to see it. Anyway, I'm done. If you guys enjoyed my Iron Man 3 review, please click the like button and comment down below if you have watched this movie. And if you enjoyed what you've seen here and you want to see future videos from me, please press up there to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great week, Battle Squad, and as always, fight the good fight.